Nice. So I just wanted to give a rundown of what today's gonna be, and we're gonna be talking. We're just gonna have a kind of like a grounding meditation, not even a meditation, just a breathing practice, and then we'll enter a sacred space, our Cavern of Creation. And then once we're in our space, I'll introduce Michelle and hand it over to her basically. And at the end, hopefully we'll be able to ask her questions, and then we'll close the sacred space. And I just want to remind everyone that just if you want to remain in the cavern space, that's fine. You can stay there and be there a while. But if you would want to walk, just remember to walk yourself out into your daily everyday life when you're done. So with that, let's begin, and let's take some 5 deep breaths. Breathe deeply all the way. You can soften your eyes, like soften your gaze, or you can close your eyes, whatever brings you more to yourself or inward. And breathe past your diaphragm into your womb space. Just slow 5 deep breaths. Give that to yourself. And once you have completed your 5 breaths, deep breaths, just invoke a feeling of love toward yourself and a feeling of compassion. And if you have a bit of trouble to talk to yourself in a loving voice, imagine anybody from your relatives or anyone in your environment, a teacher, a mentor, who has always seen you in love and spoken to you in love. So invoke that loving voice within yourself. Could be a movie character, your pet, it really doesn't matter, a tree, a nature spirit. And then just ask yourself, how do I feel right now? Could be any feeling, doesn't have to be quote unquote positive, any feeling at all. Just acknowledge that feeling within yourself. Ask yourself, what do I need right now after you know how you feel? Could be something very simple, like I need to continue breathing, I need a drink of water, I need to be kind to myself, anything at all, accept it. And then let's continue with imagining a pyramid and an inverted pyramid, just 2 angles within yourself, just as it will relate to our topic today. And feel where it is in your body, where it lands. Maybe in your chest, maybe in your sacral chakra, maybe in your womb area, where that point of 2 pyramids touching at the top meets. Continue breathing deeply so that you maintain this just along your spinal column. Find that place and continue breathing. And then once you do, the lower pyramid will connect down to the earth. Imagine yourself going down deep into the earth from that space of where you found the top of the pyramid in your body. Continue breathing deeply and imagine yourself descending into the earth through any form as you like, through a lot of people imagine a root going down into the earth, through the earth's crust, all the way down through the lava to the core. And then once you find yourself in that centering place, in the center of the earth, connect yourself, breathe that love energy into you, her warmth, her just love, her golden red glow. You bring that into your body and you center it there, you anchor it, and then we're imagining the inverted pyramid within our body, again, pointing upward toward the sky. And as we're breathing that in, then we open ourselves up to our star sisters and brothers and others, to all the celestial beings and celestial spheres up into the universe. And we are connecting with them and taking their love, wisdom, and light into our body, again, at the point of connection where our pyramids meet along the spine. We breathe that deeply in, and this is how we center, and we ask for the blessings from the earth and the sky. And with that, we're here. We have arrived, we have centered. And now I'm gonna go ahead and begin more of a entering the sacred space now with the Cavern of Creation. So bear with me. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you so that you can look at the beautiful image as we're doing this. So yeah, just give me 2 seconds. Interesting, what's happening? So let's do that. And then also, so let's close your eyes so you can be more in touch with yourself, or just soften your gaze, it's up to you. Or you can look at the image if you like. So all these options. I'm gonna go ahead and begin. So here, just picture yourselves walking into our sacred space, our Cavern of Creation, the Cavern of Feminine Mysteries. And it is up to you which natural landscape you choose. Perhaps by the ocean, where you can hear the rhythmic, hypnotic sound of the waves gently announcing their arrival ashore. Or is it in the Redstone Desert, where you are in the deep, uninterrupted, meditative silence? Maybe in the middle of the temporal forest, in the midst of the giant tall standing ones? Or is it in the lush jungle, where you can hear the echoes of exotic animal spirits calling out to you? Maybe you find yourself on the mountain cliff with strange and mysterious geological formations, like the ones in Meteora, Greece. Take your time. Try on different landscapes and choose the one for today which calls out to you. Once you've chosen the outside ecological setting, and before you enter, notice all of the nature beings in this place, seen and unseen. Acknowledge them. Ask for their permission to be there. Tell them you come with a big heart and with love. And once you establish the connection with them and your presence is known, proceed to the cave entrance. Is it a space with a semi-open ceiling, or is it fully closed in? It all depends on where you would like to picture yourself and on your current needs. Do you want the cave to enfold you tightly, or does your body need some spaciousness? Try on different scenarios and feel into your body. And this may look a bit differently for all of you, depending on how you're feeling right now and what your needs are. Are you feeling that you need some nurturing and feeling more inward, more internal? Where are you in the great cycle of the seasons, of your own moon time and your energy level? Just notice what your body needs and imagine accordingly. Once you know, picture yourself there and feel yourself there. It is your sacred space, your cavern. So welcome yourself into this space and know that you are safe here. Your presence is wanted here, and you are always welcome here. As you're coming in, as you enter the sacred cavern, choose your place. Do you want to lay down or maybe just sit alongside your sisters? Do you need a little space for yourself for a while before you join the others? Act in accordance to your inner desires. Sense into them. Also know that the cavern you chose has a deep, cool artesian spring in one part of it and a hot artesian spring on the opposite side. And the whole surface floor of the cave is cooling and refreshing on the side associated with the cool spring, and warm and soothing on the side with the hot spring. So choose your side depending on whether you like some coolness and freshness, or do you wish some warmth deep within your body, your bones, and your muscle tissue. Find your place which suits your needs best for today. Now feel your body. Do you want to sit or lay down on the soft floor carpeted with a thick layer of moss? The moss can survive in this environment because there's a bit of light filtering through the cavern ceiling. And besides, this cave is magic. If you want to feel the rock under your back for a little massage, alternatively, then choose a place with a rock. And find the place that suits you best for today, for right now. Once you found your place and you feel settled, rest a while. We tend to rush around and do, and then we blame and judge ourselves for not doing enough. So just cast all of that aside and rest in this space. Imagine yourself laying on or sitting on the cavern floor as if you are inside the womb of the mother, your earth mother, and you are loved and supported, utterly taken care of and nourished. Just breathe that love in. Let it feel your being. Let your whole body, let this loving support wash over you. You are safe here. Breathe all of that in deeply. Let it nourish. Let it restore you from the within. Soak this mother love into your cellular being and stay in this space for a while and just rest. No need to do anything or fix anything. Just let yourself, your body, your own piece of earth made of bone and mineral, water, fire, spirit, and air, let it rest. Let it be loved by the earth. Let it belong to the earth. She loves you deeply, sister, and longs for you to be whole and happy and nourished and resourced. Breathe that love energy into your belly, into your womb space, into the very depth of your soul. And know that you can come back here anytime and stay longer. And you can fall asleep here surrounded by her love, her presence. Anytime. Well, we have arrived in sacred space. So this cavern may look different and take on different appearances outside and inside, but we're all meeting in the same energetic space. So welcome. Let me stop share. Welcome, sisters. Let me admit some people who have been patiently waiting as I finish the meditation. Welcome, everyone. So now that we have arrived in sacred space, I just wanted to go ahead and introduce a woman who has been very special in my life, Michelle Gould, who will be teaching us today about your personal lunar cycle and why it helps you align and be in sync with your natural rhythm. Now, Michelle Gould has been a consulting astrologer for over 20 years, who loves supporting and empowering others. A sought-after speaker and teacher, she currently heads ethics training for the International Society of Astrological Research and chairs education committee for the International Association for Ethics in Astrology. Now you can find out more about Michelle on her website at heavenlywriting.com. And I just want to share my how I met Michelle. It was about 5 years ago, and at that time my astrological knowledge was slim to none. Right before meeting her, and the reason why I wanted to meet her is I found out that you don't only have your sun sign, but you have your moon sign, and also your ascendant. So I wanted to know more, and someone recommended her to me, but I was still skeptical about astrology in general. So I haven't shared much with her at the beginning of the session. And interestingly enough, without me sharing or saying anything, Michelle was able to point out what I do for a living. She knew that I was pregnant at the time, so she said, "Oh, your things will change in your life and your family life very quickly and very soon." So. Also, she was able to tell that she asked, "How's your health been lately?" And it was at that time in my life that, strangely enough, like I had some health issues and I've been to the emergency room twice. So basically, I would highly recommend to book a session or 2 or 3 with her to learn not only more about yourself, but just to hear herself talk. I think her knowledge is vast and profound, and not just in the realm of astrology, but also mythology, geography, detailed knowledge of geography, religion, and she's a joy to listen to. No wonder she has a BA in English and MFA in creative writing from the University of Florida. So I just love spending time with her because I learned so much from our sessions. And yeah, with that, welcome, Michelle. I'm so delighted and honored to share you with our fantastic group, and I can't wait to learn more about the moon.
Well, thank you. And I always love listening to people tell me what I said during their sessions, because I'm like, I don't remember. So it's always interesting, especially that's been a while now. Yeah, it's always interesting to hear what resonated, what really stuck with people. So yeah, I really love the work. I'm seeing a bunch of just blank spaces. I would love to see people's faces if they are willing and open to turn on their video. If it wrecks the stability, we can turn them off. But if you're open to it, you don't have to. It's your sacred space. The other thing is, I want to make sure everybody can see the 4 handouts that are in the chat. Because some people came later. I'm not sure if the people who came later can access that. And if you can't see 4 PDFs in the chat box, maybe just put in the chat box no, and then I will reload whatever I need to reload. Okay, so the people who came late don't see them. So bear with me. I'm going to do a little technology thing here. Let me see if I can copy. No, let me see. Will it?
Welcome, Carly. Thank you for showing yourself. Yeah, come, welcome, join in.
So I'm going to repost these really quickly. Bear with me. These are the same four that we did, that I gave a link to if you had gone to my my landing page I created for you. But we are going to use them, so we'll need them. Everybody's going to need to have them.
I'm going to go ahead and also post just the link that you have shared.
Okay,
Michelle,
great.
with everyone, so that you can just go to that link, and on the very bottom left, when you click the blue circle, you will be able to see all the forms that need to be downloaded.
Yeah, because you'll definitely want to have those handy. Because we are gonna, this is gonna be hands-on today.
Exciting. I'm so excited.
I can talk and talk and talk, but I find we learn more when we're really applying it to our own lives. So I like to mix it up a little bit. And for those of you on phone, I'm sorry, it won't work quite as well. But hopefully we will be able to bring everybody with, regardless of the technology. Okay, I don't think I picked up that last one somehow. Let me try it one more time. Where's the moon? We're missing moon activity by house, aren't we? Okay, I think we have them all there. So let me share my screen. And I have a fancy presentation thingy. Just to kind of walk people through. Whoops, I want to minimize that. I just covered my own screen. Okay, can everyone who is on a computer see that?
Yes, I
Good.
can. Easy, very well.
Okay. So I want to tell you a little bit about how I think about astrology, because it influences how I work with it. Everybody works a little bit differently, a little bit, well, we're all individuals, so we all bring our own individual spin to things. But astrology is ancient, really, really ancient. It comes out of Mesopotamia. The Sumerians were the first to have astrology, or to start recognizing that there was a correlation between what was going on in the skies and what was going on Earth. And about 1200 BCE, they started cataloging where things were up in the sky, because they were noticing these patterns. And it went from there, then they developed libraries where they stored all this, like, I observed this in the sky and these things happened on the ground. And that becomes the kind of nascent seed for astrology as we know it now. It comes out of observational science in a lot of ways, and a lot of our math and a lot of our astronomy came out of our need as a species to be able to track the stars and to see what was going to go on. So it's also one of the oldest repositories of myth, because the Neo-Babylonians in particular used to call the movement of the planets the heavenly writing, because they literally saw it as the gods in a chariot crossing the skies and scrawling messages on the night sky for us to read. And so each of these gods had had stories and myths, and this became the beginning of the symbolism that is embedded into astrology, and that resonates with us still today. So in terms of our numbering system, I don't know if you've ever noticed, like percentages, and most of the math we do is in base 10. But when we get to time and space, we switch to base 60, right? There's 60 seconds in a minute. There's 60 minutes in an hour. When we divide a circle, we're working with 360 degrees. This is all from that ancient culture. So we are still using their system to measure time and space because they used it to track the planets. And I just think that's so cool because it's a lineage that is continued uninterrupted. Each culture has brought something new to it. Each culture has brought something different to it and added layer upon layer, but it's still quite present. You see it all the way through. So there's an ancient message to the king from one of the scribe priest astrologers that they had that essentially said, Venus will be high in the sky tonight. Well, it didn't say Venus, it would be Ishtar or Inanna will be high in the eastern skies tonight, love making across the lands. And to this day, Venus is the planet of relationship and love and attraction. So those nascent roots show up, it's not that it's quite different when you read it as an astrologer, but the principles are there. So it's kind of very cool. So today we're going to work with the moon, and I love the moon. We have two planets that are connected with the feminine in astrology. And one is Venus and the other is the moon. And we all have this, so the moon and Venus are the relating planets, but they're also the receptive elements. So the moon is connected to the principles of like receptivity, nurturing, family, nesting. It's women, it's motherhood, it's anything that's connected to the foundations of life. So that ends up being like home and property and, anything that helps us feel grounded and at home within ourselves, as well as, places. And it's also kind of our emotional center. So the moon in astrology in the chart is where we head to, where we go for comfort, where we retreat to if we feel threatened and need to feel safe. So, most of us know there's a bias against the feminine principle. Let's say it's a little weighted on the masculine principle for its reason and logic and, action, and a little less focus on the being. And I think this is really critical because the moon is our earliest calendar. And as we've moved away from kind of using the moon to regulate our timing, in some ways we moved away from our own body rhythm, our own ability to know how to regulate ourselves. The moon's also connected kind of like the intuitive ways of understanding. It's the part of us that's the processor, that's taking all our associations, our past experiences, everything that's made us into this moment, stored it, cataloged it, and has it kind of in reserve so that we can quickly make decisions and understand. It's our associative mind and our conditioned mind. But it also helps us understand non-verbally what's going on, right? It's the part of us that can walk into a room and kind of go like, whoa, this is tense in here without anyone saying a thing. That's the moon. That's the ability to feel what's going on without verbal information. It's people's body language. It's all the nuanced ways we communicate and we think with with other people and also with ourselves. So if anybody has questions, feel really comfortable using that chat box, okay? Because I'm happy to answer questions as we go through too. So we're gonna do a couple of things today, but one we'll look at. We're going to use all of these sheets I gave you. We're going to pay attention to where we're going to learn where your own moon is. We're going to see how the rhythm of the moon can be used to kind of map, structure, and organize your life if you want to get in a more kind of embodied, a more embodied calendar. So we're not, we live in a world of artificial lights and times that our rhythm is pretty much dictated by our schedule rather than what feels maybe organic. And using the moon can help you kind of recalibrate that. And think about, do I really want to be, organizing a party on one of the days that I am going to likely be low energy and want to be alone. So it helps us kind of figure out when those times are and then map it onto our own calendar and just kind of track it and then go like, no, I'm not going to go to that. Or, oh yeah, I'm going to plan this on this day. I'll ask for my raise on this time period, not that time period. So our natal moon tells us about, kind of our emotional center, where we go for comfort, where we feel safe, what makes us feel nurtured, how we like to nurture other people. It's also how if we are afraid, it tends to be how we react, right? And it's also what we need to really let go, to let down our guard and feel at home and be ourselves. And we look for, there's two things we'll look at when we're assessing the moon and what it needs. One's the sign, just like there's a sun sign, there's a moon sign, a birth sign, there's a moon sign. The day and time you were born, the moon was somewhere. And signs, a lot of people think that means they're in a constellation. They're not. All a sign is a 30-degree segment of the sky. So every once in a while you see scientists all freaking out and saying astrologers don't know what they're talking about because there's 13 signs. But what it is those skeptics don't actually know that we're not talking about, we're not talking about constellations. We are talking literally about right ascension and how to measure a circle. So if you got a circle, you have to have a starting place and an ending place. And we're just going to cut 30-degree sections out of that so we can say it's in this section of the sky. So we have the sign, and that's more kind of a filter. It's our style. It's the way in which we want to do things. It's our how. And then we also look at houses, which are more a little complex to describe, but what you need to know for your benefit is that houses in astrology describe sectors of life. They tell us where things are being activated when the moon moves through it. So our natal moon tells us some basic information about ourselves. And then we can use, so the chart is essentially a snapshot of the sky at the moment you're born, time you're born, place you're born. So it's as if you walked outside at the moment you were born and you looked up and what do you see? What's above the horizon? What's below the horizon? That's your night sky. And if we took a Polaroid of that or a photo of that and just froze it in place, that becomes your chart. But it's not like the moon stops moving. It continues to move. So we also look at what happens when that moon moves around your sky, that frozen sky of your chart. What areas of life does it light up? How does it want to respond when it's in those areas? And we can use that to kind of structure our day and to structure our month And then if we have enough time, we'll go further, structure 6 months. And really, you can really, this is cycle within cycle within cycle that you can use. So this is the first part. Does everybody have the handouts printed out? Maybe use the chat to let me know if you do not, and if you need more time. And does everyone have their birth chart? So I gave a link to get your birth chart. Let me see if I can put that in there. Yes to birth chart, awesome. If you do not have your birth chart, there's a place to get it and instructions. But if there's only a few of you that don't have it, I could even whip it up here on the fly for you and give you some basic information. I would just need to know if you don't have it. Okay, so looks like don't have. Okay, Carly. Let me, are you comfortable, Carly? Do you want to private message me? So instead of sending it the chat to everyone, you could send it to me directly, your time, place, and date, and month, day, year of birth, and I can pull yours up for the paperwork download. Okay, so Kathy, if you look in the chat, you should see little PDFs in the chat box. Do you see those that you can print from? If you go above where the recent messages are, you should be able to print them right from the chat. And then you can also go here for all 4 of them. So Kathy, if you look at your message where it says, Carly, I'm so sorry. Carly, if you look where it says to everyone, if you click on that everyone, you'll see your message open up down below and it says to, and you can use that little caret to the right of the word everyone and pull my name from the list and send it to me, if that helps. Does that make sense, Carly? Awesome. And do you know what? Okay, so I think that's all. Everybody looks like they have what they need other than that. So let's do this. Let's get our handouts out. Let's pull out the one that says grounding the skies, working with the moon, pre-work. And Carly, I'm going to pull your chart up really quickly. And I'll send you yours back. But those of you who have your moon map, we are going to work with getting everything together. Give me 3 seconds here to whip this up for Carly. Okay, why aren't you? Okay. Yours, Carly, and then we can all start working together here. Um, Okay, so if we're looking at our grounding the skies sheet, the first thing at the bottom half of the page, right, the last third, is we have my sun or birth sign is. Most of us know this. It's the one where we look it up and we read our horoscopes in the paper. So you would write your sun sign in there, whatever sign that is. The next is your moon sign. So if anyone had trouble finding their moon sign in the instructions I gave you with the write-up that we had, let me know, direct message me. But if you know your moon sign from the chart that you wrote out or that you printed out, fill out your moon sign. And then the last bit is the ascendant. And the ascendant is the place due east in the chart. So that would be on the left-hand side of the chart. There's usually two lines in the chart that look kind of like that. One goes east-west and one's north-south. You want the one on the left-hand side of the page. That would be your rising sign if you have the chart. It's often designated as AC. If you're looking at an astro.com chart. And like I said, chat me if anyone's having trouble finding any of those three things. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull out the sheet that says, "Where's the moon?" Oh, and I should have flipped my Zoom because I'm backwards here, aren't I? So look for the form that has "Where's the moon?" And what if you do not know your birth time? What was the first ones? What was the first one? So Valerie, what was the first one? You want to find your sun, your moon, and your ascendant if you have your chart, and put it on the grounding the skies pre-work form at the bottom where there's fields for that. Hopefully that answered your questions. So the first one was your sun. You want to put in your sun or birth sign. The second one is your moon sign. And the last one is your rising sign. So you'll want to fill out those three fields in this form at the bottom. So Olga, you can't find your moon sign. So if you're looking for your moon sign, I'm going to switch what I'm sharing for a second. And okay, so if you want to print it out, Valerie, here again is the link to all the forms. So you can grab those and print them out if you'd like. So if you're looking for the moon in a chart, I'm going to show you what it looks like. New share. Boing. And hopefully you're only seeing what I want you to do. Maybe I need to new share it. There. Okay. So if you can see my cursor, this is what the moon looks like in a chart. It looks like a little half symbol of a moon. So look for that. And then if you're not sure what sign it's in, See that the little character right there? This one looks like a circle with little half moon on top. You want to go to the form that says, where's my moon? And you can look for the symbol that looks like that. So in this case, this is Taurus, right? So find your own chart, look for the sign, or if you look at the grounding, the moon, right at the top, I have the signs with the symbols and their names. Okay, so, and if you still can't find it after that, you just text me again and I will look at it after I get everybody going with some other, with the next step. So once you have those three things filled out, your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign, if you do not know your time of birth, I don't want you to fill out the rising sign. I want you to use the sun sign. But I want you to find the name of that sign. So my sun sign is Aquarius. Okay, so I would go to the sheet and I would look for the table that has Aquarius at the top. Okay, and I would find Aquarius. And then I would look for, it says, I want to know what house Aquarius is in. I'm sorry, if I want to back up. If you do not know your time of birth, you would find your sun sign and you would go to that sign. If you know your time of birth, I want you to use the rising sign. Okay, so if I didn't know my birth time, I would go to Aquarius and I would find Aquarius in my list of things, and it says first house, and I would use my sun is in the first house. But let's say I'm Cancer rising. I do know my time of birth. Then I would go to Cancer and I would look for Aquarius in the list of the table. And it says Aquarius is the 8th house. And I would write that in. So you following me? If you have the sun, if you don't have a birth time, I want you to find your sun in your, the sun sign in the table. And I want you to look for that sign. And I want you to find the house number, and that becomes the house. And for you that don't know your birth times, it's always going to be first house. So that makes that easy. If you do know your time of birth, use your rising sign, your ascendant. So if you're Taurus and your sun is in Aquarius, it would be 10th house. It would be a 10th house sun, right? But look for your rising sign. Then look for your sun sign in the list of signs under the rising sign table. So this is a table of rising signs. So you want to find it, you want to find that house, and you want to write it in on the form. Chat me if anyone's having trouble. The next thing we want to do is the same thing with your moon. You want to go to the rising sign that you have. So again, if you're Cancer rising, then you would look up whatever your moon is in that Cancer column on the first page. That's the 4th one over if you happen to be Cancer rising. And you would find whatever your moon sign is in that list, and you would write down the house that's to the right of it. Okay. And if we do know our time, our rising sign is at the first house. So we don't have to find out what house it is. So now that we know a little bit about, if we have those two things, the sign and the house, it can tell us a little bit. Your sign's going to tell you how you like to be nurtured. The house is going to tell you where you can readily access this. Right? So my moon happens to be in the 11th house. I can readily access what my moon needs through my friends, through my associations, through my groups of like-minded others. Right? And we're going to get more of that. But that just gives you some basic building blocks. Okay, why are you frozen? Okay, there we go. So basic moon needs. If you have a fire moon, so if it's Aries or Leo or Sag, you need to be inspired, right? You need your emotions kind of launch you into new projects and possibilities. So naysayers could be a big bummer for you, you know. Your love language is passion. It's like, make me feel special. Wow me, you know, let's get excited together. You know, earth signs, more grounded. They need unpredictable people, can be destabilizing. People that won't keep their word, right? They need to know where they stand. And they need to feel like they can build something lasting. So the love language is more tactile, it's touch, it's hugs, it's do stuff that shows me that you care. And it likes doing for others that it cares about. Air sign like wants to talk about things. I want to feel like we can share anything, right? That's the moon in air. And it likes flirting and it wants to be told that it's love, right? And too much drama can get on their nerves because they want to feel like they can discuss things. And if it's all emotional drama, then we can't really, you know, we can't get to the basis of things. And then water is needing, it needs the kind of empathic understanding. It needs to feel like there's someone out there that just gets me for who I am. I don't have to explain it. We just resonate. And so it's that person that can see you walking through the door, take one look at your face and go, what's wrong? Right? They don't have to express it. They don't have to, you know, you don't have to explain that you're not feeling, you know, that you're sad or that you're unhappy or that you're stressed. They see it. So that's, you know, a little bit of those, you know, just a little bit of tapping into your own personal moon. So now what I want to do is help you tap into your, whoops, I went too far, didn't I? There we go. Your own personal moon cycle. So we've got the basics of this started on the front page here. You have your moon, you have, so you have your sun, you have a house, you have the moon, you have a house, you have a rising sign, you know, it's in the first house if you have a birth time. And on the back, you have another table. And this is gonna be a lot easier than you think. This is this month. This is the entire month of November. And when the moon changes signs every couple of days, it does it every 2.5 days. And you are going to map the houses that are happening here using the same ascendant or sun sign if you don't have your timetable. So just to make things easy, and to give you an example, if you were Cancer rising, the first thing in this table says Libra. It's on November 1st, a Monday. You
Michelle,
would put
can I cut in for just a second? Is there any way, because it's hard to see like the paperwork that you're showing because you're sharing a screen and your video is small, and I'm not sure how to make it larger. So is there any way you can switch so we can see it easier?
Let me pull up the form. How's that? And then I will put that on.
That's great.
Because, whoops, no, I need the right form. I've got them all up. Where is it? There it is. Oh, except for I don't want the PDF. I want the pages so I can type into it. Hold on. There we go. Okay. New share, and we are going to go there. Okay, are we seeing it now? Did it share?
It's shared, but I'm seeing a small section of the form, maybe because you have advanced share. Screen is like,
yeah, let me see. I'm going to stop the share and start the share over. How's that?
perfect.
Better?
Yes.
Okay, and then I'm gonna get rid of inspector. There we go.
Nice.
Okay, so you should have this and this filled out on these pages, right? So I'm Aquarius. I have an 8th house sun. My moon is Taurus. It's in the 11th house. My rising sign is Cancer. There, you guys know all kinds of things about me now.
And can I just clarify one thing? It falls, like you're saying, Aquarius falls in the 8th house. You're just getting it all from your chart, right?
I'm getting it from the chart.
Okay.
So if I say, and also I'm actually getting it from, let me get the, where's the moon P? I'm looking on the where's the moon thing, and I'm looking for my Cancer ascendant.
Okay.
And I'm filling in wherever it says Aquarius is, and it says 8th house.
Oh, I see now. Okay.
Right? So I go find it in the list, and then I put find the house, and I fill that in the form.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay. So wherever your, whatever sun, whatever your rising sign is, you want to find it on this list. And then wherever your sun is, whatever sign your sun is, then you find it in that same table.
Yes.
And then that becomes the house. Is everybody following now? I know it's a lot. I usually do this in a classroom where I can run around and point things out to people. So this is an experience. It's an experiment. We're trying to do it together here. Olga, if you don't know your rising sign, why don't you send me private message me your birth information? I'll see if I can find it to you and private message you back. Because everybody's gonna have something to do in a couple seconds here. And if you don't have it, you can always use your sun sign if you don't know your time of birth as the main one. But the table you're referencing is where's the moon, and you're going to work with one column. And let's see, get that spaces again. Hold on, we got people wanting to know where to get the forms again.
I'm gonna put it in the chat. So
okay, so you're going here, you're looking for your rising sign, and if you don't have your time, you're looking for your sun sign, and then you're going to use this table, that one table, not all of the tables, just the one, the little tiny section for everything you do here. So you only have to identify the one table that's on every, the sign that is your rising or the sign that's your sun if you don't have a time. And then what we're going to do is find that same sector. So Olga, would you be comfortable with me using your chart as an example and just show people how to do this from your chart? Okay, so that's what we're going to do. And then it'll be easy for everyone to see. I'm going to put in Olga here. And yours is a good one to use, Olga, because you're very close to what they call the cusp. So the sun could have changed signs on the day you were born. I'm very much like that too. So it depends on, if you're born around, like, let's say the 19th to the 21st, 22nd, sometimes your sign, it can be, your sun sign can change depending on when the sun moved. So not for Olga, she's definitely in. Okay, so now I'm going to stop my share. Let me see, can I share two document? Well, let me share two screens without making it too small for y'all. Well, first I'm gonna do this step by step. That's what we're gonna do. Okay, we're figuring out as we go. Thanks for being patient, dudes. Share, here we go. Here's Olga's wheel. So the thing, everybody can see my cursor, right? This point, this bold line to the left, that points to your ascendant. It's always here. Actually, let me change the wheel a little bit. I'm going to go medium. Okay. So there is the ascendant. And if you look up on your sheet, on that pre-work moon sheet, if you look up the thing, that little symbol, you'll see at the top, if you look through the couple of them, it'll show Libra. But over here, it says Sun, Libra, first house, because your sun's in Libra and the ascendant's in Libra. Oh, here it is. Okay, so you go find it in the list. There's Libra. You know, there's that symbol. There's Libra. So that gives you that. So Olga, your first house is Libra. Your sun sign is Libra. And then your moon is in Capricorn. So you want to write those on your form. So then we know her sun, we know her rising sign is Libra. So I'm going to stop my share here. Well, first I need to get the right form up. Let me get, where's the moon up? Okay, I'm gonna stop my share and start my new share. So for Olga, she's gonna go to this form and she's gonna look for Libra because that's her rising sign. So right there's Libra. So if she looks up her sun on the form, she's Libra rising, but she also has a Libra sun. So her Libra sun is in the first house. Her moon, if you remember, was in Capricorn. So we just go down and we find Capricorn, and her moon is in the fourth house. And those are the two things she would put on the front of her form. Her pre-work form, the form that says pre-work. And then the rising sign, she would write in Libra again, because she happens to have her rising sign, her sun in the sign of her rising sign. Okay, so now we're going to go to the back side of this form. And we're going to do the same thing. So for Olga, if we look on the back of that form where it says moon, it'll say November 21st, and it'll say life sector. Is everybody with me there? We're on the same pre-work form, but on the second page now. For Olga, whose first sign is Libra, she's going to stay with this same little box of information. And when it says Libra on the first day on Monday, she's going to write, what house is it? It's first house. Right? Let me see if I can share two things without it making it too small. We're going to give it a shot. New share. There. Did it keep both, or is it only got one now?
I see just one, like the new one, the second
Okay.
worksheet.
So let me try this again. If it will let me. Usually it lets you choose multiple, but I don't see it. Let me go to advanced. No, it's not letting me choose two here. Okay. We're going to just have to keep toggling back and forth. So basically this form, you want to get to this page that you're seeing here. Then you're going to go back to the where's the moon, and you want to stay with the grid you used that has your rising, or if you don't know your birth time, your sun sign. and you're going to go, what sign, what's the house that's listed to the right of Libra? For Olga, it's going to be the first house. So she would just write 1 here. She would put in 1. And then if you look, the next sign is Scorpio. So that's going to be 2. Guess what? It's really easy at this point. You're going to number these until you reach 12, and you're going to start numbering them again. So it's just 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 1, because we're back to Libra again. So let me get a different rising sign. Maya, what's your rising sign? Remind me?
Scorpio, yeah.
Scorpio. Okay. So we're going to start with Scorpio this time. So if we go to the Scorpio grid on the Where's My Moon page, Scorpio is the first house. Libra is the 12th house on that particular little grid. So we're going to go 12. Anytime we hit 12, we start with 1 all over again. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So let's do another one. Hey, it's Scott Silverman. How are you doing, Scott Silverman?
I just missed you, so I popped in.
So why don't we use your rising to give people another example?
All right, Leo, 1932.
Okay, so we're going to go to the Leo grid on the Where's My Moon. And Libra is then the 3rd house on
Correct.
if you happen to be Leo rising. And then it would just be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then you start counting over again. 1, 2, 3. Right? Is everybody kind of following? So once you have this, you've literally mapped your month where the moon is going to be. So today is the 5th. The moon is moving into Sagittarius, right? We're November 5th, Friday. Moon's in Sagittarius. It's in Scott's 5th house. And so for him, now there's another form, there's all kinds of forms because astrology is tons of information, but then we can look at the activities by house. So if we were Scott, we could look at it would be the activities per house would be 5th house. So sex, play, and fun, good activities for today. Entrepreneurial ventures, risk-taking, gambles, things with children, creativity, creative projects, friendship and entertainment. A good question to ask yourself when you're having a 5th house moon day is, what do I want to give birth to? What sounds fun? What kind of creative play do I want to have today? And he was going to do it in a Sagittarius way. So the first part of this activities by sign that gives you the suggested kind of activities that align with the sign or with the house. It first tells you the house. It's like that's the sector of life. But if you turn to the next page, you get activities by sign. Remember how I said earlier, sign is kind of like the style or the flavor. It's the how we want to do something. So so then we would find Sagittarius here, and Scott would want to look for activities that kind of push the boundaries, letting him move into unfamiliar territory. Although Scott's a really good astrologer, so this is not unfamiliar. It also likes to take a bit of risk in gambling and adventures, travel, movement, doing things we haven't done before, mixing it up, going beyond, exposing ourselves to different cultures. Learning can be something. just open-minded, spontaneous kind of, adventures can be good. So this gives you different kinds of things. So you just pair the house and the sign, and then you get kind of activities that are going to work well for you on the 5th and the 6th, right? Because on the 7th, we move to Capricorn. And then it's going to have a different flavor. Capricorn, if you look on that same list, is more serious. It's more, wants to be more productive. It wants to achieve things. And it's going to be in his 6th house of work. So it will be the 7th and the 8th are going to be good work days. There'll be days that he can achieve things. So if you have your whole month here now that you can see, right? You can map your calendar to like, oh, wow, I've got Capricorn and a work day. I can really get some work done. And I don't want, even though Friday is a work day, I really want to have fun this day. So maybe I want to like put off my work and really start knocking it out on Sunday and Monday instead. And then we start aligning to our own personal pulse, our own rhythm as we move through the month. Because I'm not in a class for it, and I can't walk around and check in on people and see how they're doing. Is this starting to land and make some sense for people? You are going to have to use your little handouts to figure out what activities, and then to map out the kind of flavor, so Aquarius is more intellectual. It's ideas, it's pushing boundaries, it can be astrology. And for him, it falls in his 7th house of friends and other people and wanting to connect. So I'm Aquarius, Scott and I get along great. My son falls right in his 7th house of friends, or not friends, but other people, people you can connect with. It's one-on-one relationships. And, so this gives you a sense of how that works. So the other 2 things you'll see I have, well, before we move on, before I jump to the next thing, there is another form that I've given you that has moon table at the top, and it's the only thing that has red on it. That gives you this same table. See here, I just have it for November, right? Where's the moon table? I scanned through all of them, and they have first house that matches the same.
Yes. Yes, to your.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah. It just, the moon shifts a little bit. It's not exactly even. So you'll see that variance. So we have 1 month I have on your pre-work handout, right? But this moon table sheet, it'll have a big red box that says moon table on it. It has the whole year of this, this is just November. That moon table gives you a whole year so that you can map out your house and when the moon shifts for the entire year. So it's for later so that you can map your year. But I wanted to do 1 month with you so that you could see what I was talking about. But there should be enough space that you can write the houses next to the days, and then you'll have your whole year mapped. And like I said, all you have to do is get the starting number, and then you just count to 12, and then you start with 1 again and count to 12 again. So it's fast work once you understand the basic premise. So you also see that I have these 2 things sitting out to the side. These are your new moon and your full moon. This is the next step. So this is your daily rhythm. This is pulling you into a monthly rhythm. So this is yesterday we had a new moon in Scorpio. So even though the sun or the moon's going to move into Sag, Scorpio, we have a Scorpio flavor to the month. We're in Scorpio season let's say. And it's going to start, something new starts at the new moon. So we can plan new activities around the new moon. And we want to bring that to some kind of completion or some kind of illumination by the full moon. Okay, so this is another way we can play. We can kind of, we can start activities. So for Scott, he could start Scorpio types of activities that are connected to like home, family, property. It also could be like alone time. Like I just want to be by myself. I want to nest in my own space. I want to have some private time. And I can start that activity when that new moon hits. And whatever I start here, I want to have some kind of plan where I can kind of bring it to fruition or see get some insight into or bring something to kind of fruition by the time I reach November 19th, which is kind of a supercharged moon because it's also an eclipse. I neglected to add that when I did your pre-work, but it is on the moon, the big moon sheet that has the entire year. And so those are supercharged, and we're not going to have enough time to get into eclipses because that's a whole talk in itself. So down here, your next new moon sign falls in we can just go up here, the 4th house, right? Because if we go up to Scorpio here, it's 4, falls in the 4th house of home, family, private time, property. And there's a whole list of stuff that I've given you in the activities by houses and signs. The full moon is in Taurus. We go up to here. We see Taurus. That's his 10th house. The 10th house of career, visible events in your life, things like that. So he could say, like, what is it that I want to spend time alone doing so that I get somewhere I want to go that has a visible benefits that might help me in my career, right? Or something that I want to, do out in the world. So that gets you that. Where's the rest of my spreadsheet here? I think I deleted part of no, there it is. I'm in typing it, everything is shifted. No, it is gone. Okay. I'm going to have to pull up the other one. Open. I hope I didn't accidentally delete part of my sheet. Because you're working with the moon sheet, should have more information on it. Oh yeah, okay, so I have somehow messed that up. Let me get the PDF. Okay. Screen. Go to preview. There we go. That's the whole sheet. So if you see down here, we have my low energy or private moons are in the houses of the 4th, 8th, and 12th. You can go up to your sheet wherever you have filled in your houses here and look for the number that says 4, 8, and 12. And those are going to be the signs in which your energy will be more private, a little more quiet, especially those 12th house moons. Like I try whenever I can to put aside a couple days where I don't have to do anything. that I can just do my own thing, and that it's not so social. Then your high energy moons are going to be more about the first house, where you really want to kind of assert yourself into the environment, do the things you want to do. The seventh house of other people, so it's more like I want to connect. 10th house of being in the world, more visibility. Social and romance are the first, 5th, and 7th, and 11th. Productivity, you get the first, 6th, and 10th. But you can just pull them off your grid where you filled out your information and plug them in down here. Right? And then you'll know each time when that moon comes up in the month, what your activity, you know, what kind of, these are basic kind of groupings of a little more energetic groupings. Right? Are we following? Does anyone have questions?
I have a question that
Yeah.
I want to ask. Now, I'm looking at these houses, for instance, like low energy private moons. And as I said, I was Scorpio rising. So I'm plugging in things like 4th house, Aquarius, 8th, Gemini, 12th, Libra. Do they have to make sense at all? Because like Gemini seems, well, and again, like my knowledge is more surface knowledge, like activities and social stuff. So it's translating to me as Scorpio, these things, right?
So, well, let me get your, your Gemini is the 8th. So Gemini has a lot to do with information, data. It's very mercurial, right? So if you're going to be, it can be a quieter time. It can be more interested in perhaps having soulful conversations about 8th house matters, right? Mm-hmm. Rather than wanting to go out there and be the life of the party. It might be more interested in having a more quiet kind of setting where I'm talking more about like the big questions, the mysteries of life, mm-hmm. right? Yeah. Rather than everything. Or it could be, I want to get my, I want to organize all my finances. I want to get to the root of things, right? But so that Gemini is going to want to have intellectual work, but it's going to be about 8th house matters, right? So it's going to be more interested in talking about things that come with the 8th house, mm-hmm. It can be debts and insurance, but it can also be like life and death matters, right? What's really hidden, what's beneath the surface that we're not talking about, because the 8th house has to do with secrets and the stuff that's not on the surface. So it's connected also with like research, be a great day to do research, right? Because Gemini likes all the digging in the data, and the 8th house likes to get to the bottom of things. It really wants to kind of unveil or uncover. So that's why psychology falls there, anything where you're digging up what's beneath the surface, and, and mysteries of life. Death falls there, endings, closures of all sorts. Does anyone else have something like that they want to just ask? Because then that might be more instructive in terms of your own chart. If so, feel free to unmute yourself and just ask.
So, this is Olga. So by the same token, if I'm looking for the best days in this month to focus on my romance, then I would be, that will give me an idea of which days are most favorable. Is that right?
Right. So if you, and so there's a couple of opportunities. Like you could look at your Aries, which is the 7th house, right? So that 14th, 15th, mm-hmm. and part of the 16th would be good, because you're Libra rising. So I go to Libra table, and then the 7th house, romance, did I not? Yeah, there it is. Romance of first, social and romance. But the 5th and the 7th are particularly good for romance. Mm-hmm. The 11th can be good too, but it's more like it's friendly. It's more like you meet as friends. The first house, it's social because you're more able to put yourself out there.
Mhm.
So you're more able to set your own agenda, do what you want to do. But in particular, the 5th and 7th are really good for kind of romantic relationship, relational. So you would look, so your 5th house, if you're Libra, would be Sagittarius. So that would be like today and tomorrow and part of Sunday.
I thought in my chart, when I filled it in.
Oh, you're right. I
today is
went
the
to
third
I went to
house,
Leo
right?
rather than Libra. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I misspoke. I
So
saw L and went down. So yeah, it would be Aquarius for the 5th
In
house for
Aries.
you, and then Aries.
in Aries. Okay, so that means that, to me, that means that it would be November 9th and 10th,
Uh-huh.
right? And then it would be November 14th and
15th.
15th. Okay, got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And if you, and this is like, I've extracted this little piece of the moon table to put in this form, and I really simplified it. If
Mhm.
you go to the moon table, maybe I get it up and I'll show everyone. There, moon ingress, and let me do a new share. If you compare this to the table you have, you'll see I'm giving you days and times, right? So Sagittarius started, the Sagittarius moon doesn't happen until 2052, right? So it's like almost 9 o'clock tonight. So we still are in a Scorpio moon, and we'll be in a Scorpio moon to almost 9 o'clock Eastern. These are all Eastern time if you see at the top tonight. So this, the more complete table is going to give you more complete information, because the moon spends, roughly 2.5 days in each sign. So it doesn't, they're not nice, neat, the moon wobbles a bunch. It moves around. But this will give you a little more. So you were saying, that Aquarius, well, it really kind of gives you it's the end of the day on the 9th, right? And then it's the 10th, 11th, all the 10th, all the 11th, and then at almost 3 o'clock in the morning on the 12th, it goes into, Pisces. So less ideal. And then on the 19th, here you go into those other days, and you have, that's 9 in the morning, so you have all Friday, all the 20th, and almost all of Sunday. That would be good for when it's in Gemini. Oh, that's 9th house. I keep on going to the wrong place. Your 5th and 7th, so it's Aquarius and Aries. I don't know why I keep doing that, but the 9th goes in very late on the 9th. So you have the 10th and 11th. We did that one right. Okay. And Aries would be the 14th, 15th, and most of the 16th for the Aries. So does that help clarify? You've got more time here. The table on your sheet is simplified because the moon moves in at times.
And also this times are Eastern time, so I'm in the West, so I have to change that, switch that over by another 3 hours.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly. You want to adjust it to your time zone.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So how's everyone feel so far? Is everybody kind of with me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Yes.
So now I will move on to the month, and let me get back to Okay, there's that. Okay, so we've done that. Okay, so the reason I like looking at the moon and actually kind of mapping things to the moon like this is it helps us get, the moon's connected to body. And if you want to think about the sun is, is vitality. It's our life, the life force of our planet. So it's the vitality, but the moon reflects it. So the moon is kind of the vessel for the vitality of the sun. It's how we manifest that light in a day-to-day way. So when we start planning by the moon, we start synchronizing to our own personal body rhythm. And it can be really helpful. So we're not fighting against our natural proclivity. Okay. And just like the moon waxes and wanes, so will our energy. So this helps us understand our underlying pulse and then helps us plan individually. So I want to talk a little bit about the monthly moons and moon phases. So we can, because now you have how to map it day to day. Now we can think a little more broadly. So this is the moon cycle. There's a synodic cycle. There, is a sidereal cycle. We're going to be working with the synodic, which just means the moon and the sun are together. The moon's faster and it races ahead, and then it comes back and it catches up with the sun again. And that's a month. And that's the month that we see when we go outside and there's no moon. That's the new moon. And then we go outside and there's a half moon. That's a quarter moon. And then we get to the full moon. And then the light's getting brighter and brighter. And then it gets softer and softer and loses light. And this can also help us plan. So this is just a moon map. Whoops. Every time I want to move something, it keeps changing. There we go. So when you see this, if you can see this new moon where it says new moon on the right side, there's no moon. You can't see it. It's dark outside. It's nascent. There's nothing there. There's no light yet. So it's more instinctual. It's where we're starting things and we have to kind of just trust our instincts. If you'll notice, every time we're gaining light, which is going from here to here, the moon tends to point to the right, right? So it's like the front end of a capital D. So it's gaining light, gaining light, gaining light into the full moon. And then it starts easing out. And then it's like the side of the moon is flipped, that's lit, right? Because the light's coming in from over here. And it'll start to look more and more like a C, okay, rather than the front side of a D. And I just tell that to people because it's super fun to go outside and look up and know whether the moon's gaining light or losing light. And when the moon is gaining light, we have more energy available to us. Some of us might have felt a little draggy, like on, let's say Wednesday and Thursday, Tuesday and Wednesday, a little draggy. That's because the moon was over here in the waning crescent. It was losing light. It's in a more internal moon. So if, let's say you're having a waning, the moon's losing light and it's in your 12th house, you're probably not going to have a ton of energy. So this is just kind of another cycle to think on top of your daily cycle. When you have a new moon, we're going to build light. We're going to build light all the way to that full moon in Taurus. So again, going back into that pre-worksheet that we were filling out, you'll see where it says, full moon is November 19th, Taurus. That's the peak of the cycle. That's when we're going to have the most, the maximum light. So that's maximum energy. And then we're going to start losing light. Right. So we have to think about it. We have our own personal cycle. Then we have the monthly cycle that's also it can either augment, like we're having a high energy day and the moon's high energy. It's in its monthly cycle. It's a full moon or heading to the full moon. That can be a super high energy day. If it's a waning crescent and it's one of your high energy days, it might have a little more drag than if it were a full moon and one of your high energy days. So it's just kind of like there's layers upon layers. So we can think about that too. So when we are having a new moon, it's a good time to set our goals for the month. And the month's going to last until the next new moon. Okay, so if we had the moon table out, the next new moon, we're starting now on November 4th. So we're a day into the new moon. So it's a good time to set goals for whatever house that we're working in. And then we don't have the next new moon until December 4th. So we've got a full month. And we have the most energy to make things happen until November 19th of this month. That's when the full moon is. Right? When it hits the 21st of November, we're going to start losing light. And it's going to be more, the building phases of the month are up until through the full moon phase. That's the place where we have the more juice. We can set our goals and we can build towards those goals. And we get to the full moon, it should be a fruition. It's where we should have, it's also the moon, we have the most light to see by. So it illuminates. We learn about something. We get more insight into something because we can see it more clearly. And then the second half of the cycle, so the 21st of November up until December 4th, are more about consolidating, reviewing, integrating what we've learned up until that point. Right? So we following that way too. So you can set a goal now that's impacted to the house, that impacts the house that's involved in. So we said we're having a Scorpio new moon, Maya, your Scorpio rising. It's all about first house. So it's what is it I want? What do I want? How do I want to impact the environment around me? How do I want to, it's also that can be like branding and identity. How do I want to promote myself, my ideas, my point of view? How do I want to get myself out in the world? And then you have until the Taurus to bring it kind of, that's when you have all the juice to put the most energy into it. And then you should be able to see some level of achievement or some insight into what, whether it worked, whether it didn't work. And then you incorporate the lessons as you're going through the waning phases of the moon. Okay, does this make sense?
Yes, it does.
So for the monthly planning, it's identify the transiting new moon, where it is in your chart, right? Set your goals connected to that house that are achievable within the month, right? Until the next new moon. And then you can track it. And then you can use that daily planning to kind of fine tune how you want to do it. And you can go larger. This is our past new moon. So there it is in Scorpio. There, the full moon will happen in Taurus. But you can also do 6-month planning. Okay, so if we go, let me, I'm going to switch my share again. Getting fast at this. At first it was a little clumsy. Now I'm getting it down by the end of it. We have a Scorpio moon here, right? This is a new moon that we just had yesterday. Where's the Scorpio full moon? So there is going to be a Scorpio full moon. If we have a longer goal, we can plan something on one moon. So this is your first house, Maya. For Scott, it's the 4th house, if I'm remembering correctly. You can set some goal that's connected with that house and then try to bring it to fruition during the full moon of that same moon. So we have to go look for in our moon table where the Scorpio full moon is. So we just keep looking down here, and I can tell you it's about 6 months away. It always will be about halfway through the year. And there we go. it would be May. So if we have some bigger goal for that house, we can map it and go like, okay, I've got 6 months to reach what I want to reach, and map it, then you start breaking things. You can break things more into like quarters, right? With the touchstone, that what I start this month, I want to bring to, I want to bring it to where I need to go by the time of that Scorpio full moon, because that will be the fruition, the fullness of the light that started back on the moon that started yesterday, right? The new moon that started yesterday. Are we following there? Does this make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. This is wonderful. To me, it's like the foundation of magic, basically. How to connect with nature so deeply that you can see it in yourself, and how to plan with the cycles and seasons. This is wonderful, Michelle. Thank you.
Yeah, it's also just like how to anchor it back in you, because this is your rhythm. For you, it's first house. For Scott, it's fourth. For me, it's fifth. So, different things, different timing for different people, because we're all different people. And it can get a lot more complex, but this gives us the building blocks to really kind of start mapping. And I like to think of it as body time. We start kind of aligning with our own rhythm. It's like if you've ever been somewhere on vacation where there's not a lot of light pollution, and you'll find very quickly that you start following the light. You go to bed when shortly after it gets dark, you wake up, as the sun rises, and it just happens naturally if there's no agenda and there's no artificial light. Your body just takes you right back to where we lived for years and, thousands of years before the advent of, artificial light. So I guess I could open it up to questions, or or if anybody is having trouble and wants me to work with their chart as an example, I'm happy to do that. Jennifer, by the copy of the charts, do you mean the handouts, the 4 different tables and everything? Yes, absolutely. I can give you a link to that. Yes, there is. It is a lot to go over, isn't it? Welcome to astrology. I told you how ancient it was at the beginning of the session, but it's a lifetime learning thing. So there's a lot of little moving pieces. Once you get the rhythm of it, it gets a lot easier. But there is, it's a lot to kind of keep in mind at first. So yeah, Maya's saying that she's going to send out a recording, so you'll have some replay. You'll be able to kind of work with it more that way.
Michelle, can I ask you one question before we
Sure.
go further? Now, the sheet that we're working on for November,
Mhm.
and we have these questions down below, like the low energy private moons are in the signs of such and such, the productivity moons are in the signs of such and such. Is this just for the month of November, or this
That's
is
always
okay.
that's always those houses tend to be, I just tried to map them in terms of like peaks and valleys in terms of energy. So that's why I wanted you to do the pre-work, because it gives you kind of the fundamentals, so that then once you have that filled out for yourself, every time you look at the month from this table, like you could go into December, sorry, I have to move chat boxes around here. And it's being difficult. There we go. If you go into December, and you know your, let's say the 12th house, 12th house tends to be lower energy, more private, good for more contemplation or charitable work, things like that. Those are, you know, for someone who's Scorpio rising, that's going to be Libra. So those time periods in the month that have Libra are going to be the ones where you want to schedule some downtime. So you can look into the next month and go like, there's Libra, downtime. Okay, Sunday the 26th through, you know.
So Libra will always be in my 12th house, no matter
Yep.
which month it is.
No matter what.
Oh, in December and in January. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Now, like I'm forming a picture. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why this where's the moon is so important. If you find your ascendant, it is listing that table. Like, so for you, Scorpio is always the first house. Sagittarius is always the second house. Capricorn's always the third house. And so when you map the rest of the year out, you can just put the little, you know, you can just type over here, that's my first house, you know, that's my second house, this is my third house, this is my fourth house. And you'll be able to start, like every time it's a Libra moon, you can go like, those are my lower energy days. That's the time when I'd rather, you know, I need to spend, you know, at least have some blocks of me time.
Sure. Yeah, we might as well memorize it if it's always.
Because that's kind of going to, those days will, if I spend a little time by myself, are really restorative. Right? If you are Virgo rising, you know, it's going to be Leo. You know, I'm Cancer rising, Gemini are my 12th house days. Right? So if you've got Gemini in 12th house, well, that's it's a very verbal, very, you know, lots of communication. Well, then 12th house activity with Gemini is more like journaling, reading, right? And there's still information, but it's stuff that you can do by yourself. It doesn't require you to push. Doesn't mean that, and it doesn't mean that you can't ever, right? Like this is, use it with, you know, these aren't hard, the point of this isn't for people to get rigid with themselves, right? But to find that flow and to play with it and to test it out and see how it works for you. You know, and try it for a month and see like, oh, does that flow for me better? I think it ends up flowing better. And part of it is just you're more mindful about your own time and how you plan. Right? You don't just see an opening on your calendar going like, oh, I'm going to cram that full too. Right? There's another thing I can slide into that day. I've got 20 minutes. I'll just shift it right to there. All of a sudden you become more aware, more embodied about how you're going to plan. And it means we approach our lives and our scheduling with greater awareness. And that too can create kind of a profound shift, especially in the kind of culture that we live in modern era, where there's so much information and so much, let's say, cultural support for being over busy.
Sure.
Right? So any other questions? I see we're about at time here. Okay, well, I'm going to invite anyone who has questions when they start trying to map their information, right, to the moon, to the moon tables. When you start trying to do it, if you run into problems or anything, you're welcome to drop me an email. I am okay with that.
Michelle, can I
Yeah.
put your email in the chat? Would that be okay?
Yeah, I was actually gonna get it here too.
Mhm.
There we go. There's the email address, or I'm sorry, my email address is michelle@heavenlywriting.com. But you can always drop me a line. I'm happy to kind of get you started, because once you know how to number them, where it's just 1 through 12 and it starts all over 1 through 12, it goes pretty quickly. And then it's basically using the handout that has activities by house and sign and mixing them together. So, well, great. I'm glad to have joined you guys. It was great fun for me too. And Scott, that was like a lovely surprise to see you pop up out of nowhere. That was awesome. We should set up a time to Zoom sometime just to catch up.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, everyone who's participated. And thank you, Michelle. This has been so, so wonderful. I loved it, and I can't wait to just dive into it and form like more of a picture in my mind. And I'm probably gonna re-listen to this session. I think it's a wealth of information. And I just sincerely thank you for just sharing your wisdom. And again, like for everyone who hears and sees this, contact Michelle, dive into her world. She has so much more to offer. Honestly, I did different sessions with her about what I need to do in this world, about my mythology. I mean, it's the well never goes dry. So yeah, go ahead.
Astrology is vast. It's true.
Yes.
There's always more. Well,
Yeah.
thank you guys for letting me join you. I really, really had a great time, and thanks for being patient for us figuring out the Zoom format rather than doing this all in a classroom where we could talk and walk around together.
Yeah.
But it's been great, and have a great rest of your month.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful. Thank you, Michelle.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Nice.
Bye-bye all.
Yeah, I just wanted to briefly mention that our next session for level 2 will be on November 15th. And the 4th session, where we'll talk about more of the feminine mysteries, will be on December 6th at 12. And again, just walk yourselves out of the sacred space that we entered if you wish to do so. Take care, everyone. Thank you and goodbye.